Cosmatos' go for broke attitude, it starts clashing with most of the cast and crew. And he really starts feuding with cinematographer William Fraker. And at one point, the two deliberately crashed their golf carts into each other and proceeded to scream at each other.
Like they're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Now I'm picturing the movie moment of that where it's just like intense close-ups on their face, and then like you see the wide shot and you just the slowest
It's
just
like
two
Austin Powers.
Yeah. No. And then it's like going 10 miles an hour and they just like boom, just like barely tap into each
It's
other.
like the scene from Arrested Development where they're playing chicken
Yes.
with the bulldozer.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
Who won?
That's so funny.
No one really wins golf cart chicken.
Making stuff is hard.
Especially in the entertainment world,
Where big egos, bigger budgets,
And just plain bad luck.
can make things go horribly wrong.
and we're going behind the scenes of these disastrous
Never ending.
And often dangerous productions.
to find out why.
It was a shit show.
Howdy, partners.
Howdy.
This is It Was a Shit Show. I am Ian, joined by Clint.
Giddy up!
And Ray.
I'm your Huckleberry.
This June, Kevin Costner begins his journey of a 4-film series, Horizon: An American Saga, about the expansion of the American West during the Civil War. This has been a passion project for Costner for decades that never got off the ground, and he has since made multiple Westerns. He now decided to make this a reality with the help of some very wealthy independent financiers and $38 million of his own money.
Holy cow.
Jesus.
That's Yellowstone money.
Yeah. Who are those financiers? Were they like oilmen and gold
Unknown.
miners?
So it is a very independent production in some cases.
Some ye old prospectors.
Yeah.
But it's totaling about $100 million so far.
Holy cow.
Part 1 releases on June 28th.
Wow.
Part 2 hits on August 16th later this year. So part 1 and 2 are already done. Part 3 is currently shooting. But in the meantime, Costner also played a part in today's topic. Maybe you already know the outcome of this story. Maybe you don't. Hold it until you do when it comes up. But today, let's talk the 1993 Western, Tombstone.
There's been a lot of things written about Tombstone that are just so, even books that I just look at them, people have no concept. Even people who are working on the show don't even know and never will. Every movie, every show is difficult to do. It's generally going to be a collaboration. Trust is going to be either earned or found or not. And like any other movie, it's a miracle that it gets made.
Okay, Clint, closet.
All right, so I scratched my head so much for this because I don't have anything.
You don't have like a Val Kilmer action figure?
No, I actually was hoping that I could find my old McDonald's.
I have one. I have a Val Kilmer. I have a Batman Forever action figure upstairs, actually.
There you go. See, I was thinking like I could try and find my brother's. He had the McDonald's Batman Forever mugs.
Oh,
and
those were sweet.
I know, but he sold them. I'm like, well, I like a lot of projects that a lot of these people
I saw a
are
really
in.
funny joke about those mugs that was like, this is the male version of Stanley Cups.
I saw that, yeah. But I was like, I like a lot of properties and projects and franchises that a lot of these actors are in. I just don't have anything directly related to Tombstone. But then I thought to myself, oh, Terry O'Quinn is in this. Like for like so I'm wearing my Lost shirt because he's in Lost.
I don't even know who that is.
I also brought my John Locke Funko Pop.
Oh, he's the mayor.
He's the mayor in Tombstone, but you see him like
three times.
You see his face like once.
Okay.
I mean, at least that I could see. Like as I'm watching, I'm like,
maybe 3 times.
oh shit, that's Terry O'Quinn. Maybe 3 times, yeah. I mean, unless we do the Rocketeer. I mean, because that's what I originally knew Terry O'Quinn from, was from the Rocketeer when he played Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, so I'll wear my Lost shirt and I'll bring my Lost Funko Pop. So.
All right.
Nice. Yeah, that was one thing that was kind of confusing about this movie is that there was just like, it's the sheriff and then the marshal and then the county sheriff and then the mayor. It's just like, for a lawless town,
Yeah.
that sure has a lot of hierarchy. Has a lot of bureaucracy going on.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like 7 different dudes who had like different responsibilities.
And they
like,
all have
wait,
a badge, and then eventually like
Yeah.
the cowboys get badges. Like,
and then
oh,
it just
damn.
like everyone has a badge. Like badges mean nothing in this town. Just like fucking give it. Everyone's a deputy, whatever. Give them a badge.
Well, we'll talk about the accuracy of that later. Okay, so we start with screenwriter and major history buff Kevin Jarre. He's fresh off of 1989's Glory,
the Civil War epic.
yeah, with Matthew Broderick, Morgan Freeman, Denzel
Yeah.
Washington. And he also wrote an early version of Rambo 2, which will come up later. He has just entered pre-production on his new script for Dracula with Universal Pictures.
Historically accurate Dracula.
Sorry.
Damn.
The project is quickly canceled after Francis Ford Coppola announces his own Bram Stoker's Dracula.
which is so fucking good.
I have
love
not
it.
seen it in a
Never
long
seen it.
time.
Oh,
I
I
keep
love
wanting
that
to watch it for Halloween.
Okay.
Anyway,
I mean, just go into it thinking Keanu Reeves is a fantastic actor, but cannot pull off
he?
an English accent. He's fun to watch. How about that? He's fun to watch. But it's so good. Oh my gosh, I love that movie.
okay, so Kevin Jarre's devastated. He's like, I worked really hard on the script, and now it's dead on the water.
I did so much Dracula research.
Yeah, interviewed him and everything.
Went all the way to Romania or wherever the hell.
Yeah. Transylvania.
Transylvania.
Fuck.
So then Kevin Jarre writes Tombstone in 1992, roughly based on the book Tombstone, an Iliad of the Southwest, written by Walter Noble Burns from 1927. It focuses on the historical figures that led to the shootout at the OK Corral and what happened after. So again, this is also at Universal. Jarre is planning to make this his directorial debut, and they have an expected shooting date of spring 1993. Around that same time, Kevin Costner was trying to get a cable channel to make a 6-hour miniseries about Wyatt Earp.
Okay.
So completely unrelated.
I didn't realize Costner was like so into the West.
Oh, so into the West.
He's like super into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
that and baseball.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. You can sum up most of his career as cowboy hats and baseball uniforms.
Cowboy hats and baseball caps. That's his like personal tagline.
That's what
Kevin
say on
Costner.
that's what'll say on his tombstone.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Actually, I like it.
Cowboy hats and baseball caps.
So pure. Knowing his interest, Universal offers Costner the role of Earp in Tombstone. He meets with Kevin Jarre, reads his script, and Costner may have been involved in the project for a time, or it was just these conversations, whatever it was. It's a little fuzzy on that. And then he decides that he'd much rather make something that puts the focus on Wyatt Earp, not all the other characters. Because Kevin Jarre is really expansive screenplay with lots of different characters in it.
Right.
Yeah, which we saw.
Kind of, yes. We'll get to that. At the beginning of 1993, Costner announces his own Wyatt Earp movie. So he's decided to ditch his 6-hour miniseries, and he lines up his friend, Lawrence Kasdan,
Oh God.
to write and direct.
The other guy doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Going up against Kasdan? Shit.
And Costner. Now, so Kevin Costner is coming off a remarkable 6 years. Starting in 1987, we have The Untouchables,
Yes.
then Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Dances with Wolves,
Ooh, yeah.
which he directed, and it won Best Picture and won him a Best Directing Oscar. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, JFK, and The Bodyguard.
Dope.
So,
Robin
regardless of whether you think those are good movies or not, they were very, very, very big.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so Costner has a lot of clout. So we have 2 competing projects again for Kevin Jarre. One has a completed script and the other doesn't, but has Hollywood heavyweights behind it.
Right.
So Jarre said at the time Costner's version was an attempt to crush my picture.
Oh.
So he feels like he's being personally attacked.
Right.
Like, because he met with Costner and then he decides to do this. Like, it seems weirdly coincidental, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely annoying. It's one of those things where it's like you can't really like accuse someone of like they stole my idea because it's like that's just in the public knowledge, you know? Like anyone could just go write a Wyatt Earp movie.
Yeah.
And then like we talk about this all the time, like when there were those two like Jungle Book movies kind of coming out at the same time. It seems weird. It's like, wait, why? Like that's weird that these two things were coming out like so close together. That it feels like not a coincidence, but like a lot of times it just kind of is a coincidence. But I can see from that guy's perspective how annoying it would be. Just like, I fucking met with you and talked to you about my Wyatt Earp movie, and then you're just like, you know, I love the West and I love Wyatt Earp, but I don't really like you, so I'm just gonna go like do my like. That's so annoying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll go into his project later, and maybe we should do an episode about like competing projects, because a lot of the time it's like a Volcano and Dante's Peak or the Capote movies, whatever. It's generally because someone is like has a project, and then like a producer goes, "I heard they're doing this. We got to make our own.
We gotta hurry and make our own Capote movie."
But they're not involved, right? It's just nobody is from one side or the other.
Didn't something happen to like a Steve Jobs like biopics? Like they're like right back to back as well.
Yeah. That would be a really interesting episode, because I always am curious the stories that go on behind those because I think you're right. Like it's probably one of those things where like some studios had a script about like Wyatt Earp just sitting around collecting dust for years, and then they're like, wait a minute, that guy's doing I just heard that Universal's doing a Wyatt Earp. Dust off our Wyatt Earp script.
Exactly. Right.
Like it's just, you know.
Like people are clamoring for that though. It's like, hey, they're doing their Wyatt Earp. They're doing Wyatt Earp? Have you heard of Wyatt Earp? No, but we're gonna do it anyway.
We gotta beat their movie out. And then like one of them's like shitty ultimately. Anyway, that would be a really interesting episode.
Yeah. Okay. So Kevin Jarre has trouble finding actors willing to go up against Costner's film. Like, the talent agencies are saying Jarre's project is DOA. Like, don't even bother signing up for it. Like, because it's not going to go anywhere. Right? And Jarre at the time had Brad Pitt interested, but he backed out after Costner's announcement.
After Costner showed up at his house, and he's like, hey, it'd be a shame for that Wyatt Earp movie of yours to move forward. Have a baseball bat on his palm.
We're according to Kurt Russell, it kind of got to that.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
So
His baseball bat.
Wearing a baseball cap with his threatening with a baseball bat.
I love that picture of just Kevin Costner showing up at Brad Pitt's house. Hey, I hear you're thinking about a Wyatt Earp movie.
Maybe don't.
maybe don't.
Maybe you want to reconsider.
You want to strike out right now? Kevin Jarre also tries to get Nick Nolte or Patrick Swayze to star.
Those are some big names.
Yeah, for the time, yeah. Then Universal drops the project.
Oh, of course.
And Kevin Jarre sets off on his own. Then Kurt Russell sees the script. He loves it because it starts off basically saying, like, forget everything you know about Westerns, like at the beginning of the script. And so he was like, oh, this is someone that really loves this stuff. And so Russell takes the script to Synergy Pictures. Synergy. It's such a stupid.
Such like a 1980s like power business like term.
Yeah. We gotta have synergy.
Synergy Pictures, who chooses to finance the film. Now, according to Russell, Costner blackballed Tombstone's production on every step of the way by hogging up the talent agencies, already lining up a financier, so most of them were kind of like, I don't want to be involved, buying up all the cowboy costumes in town.
Whoa.
Shut up.
And
I'm just look, I know it's not like this, but I'm just imagining him going to like a Spirit Halloween store and just like armfuls of like kids Halloween costumes. They're not even gonna have these kids Halloween costumes. Fuck you.
And then to be an even bigger dick about it, he's like, and give me the baseball uniforms too.
Yeah, all of them.
only I make those two kinds of movies.
Like buying up all the cowboy like you can make more. Anyway, it's fine, but it's more expensive.
So yes, and so he said that they had to import everything from Europe. But we'll go into costumes a little bit later too.
All those spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, pretty much. And also Costner was making sure that no studio would greenlight a competing project, let alone distribute one.
We got into a level of competition with Tombstone. A good friend said, look, we can postpone this movie. We don't want to compete. And I said, look, I'm sure this writer, director wants to make this movie, let them. And then this kind of space race started. And I always regretted that there was this kind of weird competition. And it was a fun movie, Tombstone. But it's too bad it went the way it went.
Costner.
Yeah. So only one studio was willing to join the race. Buena Vista, a.k.a. Disney.
Yeah.
So
What?
back then, Disney was always a family brand, but they wanted to make money off of adult films as well. So they had different. They had Buena Vista as like a side thing that doesn't say Disney on the when you watch the movie, but so they could also make adult movies.
Technically,
Got it.
Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
so it's-
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's very weird. However, Disney had one major stipulation: the movie must release on Christmas Day, 1993, and probably because they'd beat Costner to make this gamble worth it.
Right.
So if we're gonna do this, you're gonna beat him.
They don't want to be the second Wyatt Earp movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Which is really, it actually, from my perspective, worked because I knew about Tombstone. I had never watched it until for this episode. But like in the back of my mind, I always thought like that was the Wyatt Earp movie, like just Tombstone.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that's right. Then there was that Costner one, Wyatt Earp. So like it worked for me anyway, because like when I think of Wyatt Earp movie, immediately
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
of Tombstone.
And
Yeah.
and most people do, and we'll go into that as when we get to the end here.
Wait, wasn't it already 1993?
Yes.
Good Lord.
Yes.
They're just like, how about this year? And they're just like, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Now they have some muscle behind the movie, and actors start flooding in because almost every role in the screenplay is like really juicy. Like it's either you have like some really good scenes where you're doing lots of different things, or you have like some really great lines, and you're only in it just a little bit. So that's why if you look at that cast, it's actually fucking stacked.
Yeah.
It is-
Right.
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
Shooting began in May of 1993, outside of Tucson, Arizona, near the actual Tombstone, but not in Tombstone.
Is Tombstone like still like
It's a real, yeah,
up
still
and
a town.
running?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
no, but is it like an established city or is
Yeah,
it,
it's a town.
So they have
if you live in Arizona, hit us up.
It's a series of movie sets in the middle of the desert. is
well, I
what
mean
it
like
is.
No, it's an actual town. You can be from Tombstone.
but like a modern town. Like it's
Yeah.
been like modern. It's not like
no,
it's
they're
not like-
stuck in the 1800s.
I mean, it's not like a ghost town that they have just like
no,
they
it's
just like
still,
preserved.
It's still a real.
Yeah,
a
it's
real,
not like a
so I could-
historical
so
town.
I could go to like Wyatt Earp High School in Tombstone, Arizona.
Exactly.
Or some shit. Okay.
Exactly.
High school. Home of the Marshalls.
Yeah, probably right.
And then they've got the other high school is home of the Cowboys, and there's like
Yeah.
a big
Oh
rivalry.
yeah.
It remains to this day.
So Kevin Jarre was a stickler about historical accuracy. Things like the Quaker hats. So you would think you think cowboys and you think of the usual cowboy hats, not what they're wearing in this movie. And that was very accurate because most of the cowboys in that area were coming from like Illinois.
Right.
And so they were very influenced by like Quakers. And then also like high and tight gun holsters. None of that dangling off the side of the hip nonsense from all those movies. He wanted them to be up. It's up against your hips. And all the costumes that they had to import from Europe were made from real wool. So, which explains why everybody's so fucking sweaty.
Sweaty.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
God, so sweaty.
One of the biggest problems going into filming was that Jarre's script was very big, covering lots of characters, and it takes place over years. And at the time, it was being described as a Western Godfather. So, just a big canvas. Yet, they only had 3 months to shoot it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
This is Michael Roker. Clint, you're going to be our Michael Roker.
All right, let me get into my Michael Rooker. I gotta go because I got this. It's now my. All right. I got it to the voice, but now I lost it.
Wait, who's Michael Roker?
Yondu.
Oh.
he's in it for, he's the turncoat cowboy in the movie.
Yeah.
In Tombstone, he's the one that goes,
the curly haired one that
Yes.
gets
Yeah.
yeah,
that gets killed. Spoilers.
yes.
Okay.
Hey, Yondu. All right, no, that's not good. From the beginning, they allotted too little time to do this movie. Kevin was trying to do in the amount of time contracted for, which was way underestimated. No way in hell.
So 1 month into filming, what happens?
Ooh.
Oh,
4 weeks in.
So a fire destroys some of the sets.
I'm going to guess that the studio doesn't like Jarre and kicks him out.
Dead on.
Ooh.
Kevin Jarre is fired.
He's fired from his own project, just like
own project.
the Ratatouille guy.
That's right. Because
Kinda.
he was directing.
Yep.
And this
Okay,
was his this was supposed to be his directorial
First movie, yes.
debut.
Yes.
So he wrote it, was 4 weeks into directing it, and the studio's like, nope.
They're just like,
'Kay.
bro, listen, this is too big for you. This is too big for a first time.
Well, we have lots of reasons as to why.
That's interesting
So-
because he comes up as like, this is my directorial debut. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the Godfather of Westerns.
Yeah. Shoot for the moon, baby.
They're like,
Like
take
Curly
it
Bill,
down.
shoot at the moon.
At the moon.
Take it down a notch. That's
Yeah.
what Disney was saying.
So, well, Disney didn't have any. We'll explain. It was actually Synergy that did it. But okay, Jarre is described
So
as not.
Jarre didn't have synergy with
Oh,
synergy.
Yeah. Jarre is described as not thinking visually. So, a couple examples here. Basically, he wants to make it seem like an old 1950s Western. So he's shooting only in single take wides. So he wants the camera far back, all the actors on screen, and you have to do it all in one take. And no close-ups.
Right.
So how the hell, you can't really edit that.
You can't edit that.
So everybody's got to be exact.
You can't get a sense
every
of
time.
character or
Yeah.
like emotion.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's really no point in getting those outfits from Europe, all made of wool, if you're not going to be able to see them.
Yeah, if you're not up close. Yes. So not only that, he's also like has awkward staging. So one of the things they talked about, a cinematographer, William Fraker, who we've talked about before actually, who did Lone Ranger, he was talking about how there was a scene where Earp does his like meet cute ride with
Josephine.
Josephine.
Yeah.
And the way he staged it was that her horse was like 2 feet up higher than him. And so they were kind of like looking at each other at an awkward angle. And they were like, this is their moment where they're going to be connecting as humans. Like, this is not what you do in film.
Right.
And they were like, you can't do that. Like, you need to put him back. And he's like, no, don't care. So there's like some ideas of like what they're seeing the footage going, what is this?
This isn't
So he's trying to do
working.
one of those French New Wave
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
sort of westerns.
So he's too rigid and inflexible to all suggestions. And people keep going, hey, man, you got to change this. You got to like do this differently. And he refused anyone trying to help. He was like, this is my opus. Fuck you. I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody there really liked him, but he was just too, this is what I'm doing.
Like he had
And
something
you're
to prove.
My way or the highway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Clint, this is our Sam Elliott.
I knew from the third day Kevin couldn't direct. He wasn't getting the shots he needed.
Yeah. so you're there and you
good.
immediately go, oh shit. You read this really great script and then you're sitting there with the director going, oh
God.
where is this gonna go?
Yeah, there's a reason why like that kind of stuff that's very specific directory stuff that you're talking about. That's just like you just have to have experience to be able to know that that's how things are done.
Yeah. So starting out with the Western Godfather probably wasn't the greatest idea. To
Yeah.
find out that whether or not you were
You
good
could
at this.
direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people say they tried to explain to him that filmmaking is a collaborative effort and he needs to be open to that. Like there's so many fucking people involved. Like you need to delegate.
Yeah,
and
delegate.
Be open stuff. Like,
Yeah, and trust, like, because like he's a writer, right? So he knows how to write. He's not a director. Maybe take some cues from people who've worked with directors, like cinematographers. Like this isn't actually how it's going to be done. We should do it like this.
yeah.
You know,
And
take those notes.
Generally, most writers aren't on set. I mean, that was the whole thing that they were kind of fighting for recently in both last strikes. So was he just inexperienced on sets in general?
Right.
I don't know.
What's a grip?
Yeah. You get a grip.
Yeah. They're like, no, we
No,
just
no.
we're just asking you what we should do with the grips.
This is Jenny Ray. You're going to be our Kurt Russell.
All right.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know what his voice sounds like, so it's just gonna be me.
Just be you. Okay. Remember, this is the reason. One of the reasons, the main reason this movie exists is because Kurt Russell
championed it.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed with Kevin. I told Kevin he was going to get fired. I said, it's not working, and they're going to come in here and can you. And they did.
Yeah. Synergy Productions felt based off of what was shot so far, Jarre would deliver a movie that wouldn't work and would be nearly impossible to edit. And maybe 5 hours long.
Right. It's 5 hours of wide takes. Oh, can you imagine? Jesus Christ.
After every chance to show otherwise, he doesn't meet these milestones. And so Synergy, it was clear to them that he had to go. So he's fired. Kurt Russell calls his buddy, Sylvester Stallone, saying, I need a new director and fast. So Stallone suggests George Cosmatos. He just did Rambo 2 and Cobra with Stallone.
Yeah.
And he's like, go with him. He shoots fast and has a very visual style.
Nice.
So Cosmatos was given 3 days to prepare
Good Lord.
before he was to start filming. And Disney does not grant a delay or extend the shooting schedule. Okay, remember, this is the whole reason they're going to do this.
Christmas Day.
Yeah, you got to get this done. So production has to finish in 2 months. They've lost 1 month.
They've lost a month. Ugh.
So they shoot at an extremely rapid pace. And Kurt Russell is like, okay, I'll focus on cutting down the script and maintaining morale because everybody's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And while Cosmatos just keeps the movie on schedule. So Kurt Russell and producer James Jacks start chopping down the script to the core relationship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. They cut about 20 to 30 pages out.
Wow.
So huge chunk.
Yeah.
Most of the women, like the wives in
Are completely
Holidays.
Underdeveloped. Yes.
and Holiday's girlfriend,
His enabler.
his enabler. Yeah. Most of them are cut before shooting, so their scenes were just gone. There's a lot with the wives, including much of the love story.
Which I can tell that they later sandwiched back in
Yeah.
very hastily.
100%.
They're just like, yeah, you know what? Like, the women aren't important to the story. Let's just X-nay that. And then everyone was like, you gotta have a love story, or it's not gonna appeal to female audiences.
Yeah, kind of.
And then they were like, all right. And then they just like shoehorned her back in.
Yeah, I know. And it seems like they were like, oh shit, we cut that part out. I don't remember the lines. We'll just have him stare at her.
Yeah.
Scene
Awkwardly.
after scene.
God, it was so bad. Okay, anyway, sorry.
No, I mean, we're not going to
it's-
come back to the love story.
It's not surprising that the part that works in the movie is the part that they were like, you know what, this is the core of the story. Let's focus on that. Let's keep the pages with Doc and Wyatt that are working. And then like everything else is just like get rid of it.
Yeah.
So like it's not surprising that the part that worked was the part that they intentionally kept, and then the parts that didn't work were the parts that were probably executive meddled back into the script later.
Yeah. Somewhat. So also a lot of the scenes with the Cochise County Cowboys. So like most of their stuff is also chopped down, which explains why like you have people like Thomas Hayden Church, John Corbett, Jason Priestley, like these people were on very popular shows at the time, like, and they almost have like no parts.
Yeah, I saw Jason. It was funny when I was thinking about Clint's Closet, and Lisa's like, "You don't have anything 90210." But like Jason Priestley, like, yeah,
He's like too handsome to be in this movie. Like, what are you doing?
he's too handsome. But like he had nothing
To do.
to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought the same thing about Thomas Hayden Church. I was like, this guy's in here, and he's
Yeah,
like, he's
at
the
least
OK
he's got some
Corral.
like close-ups.
Right.
And like John Corbett,
Yeah.
did you even know he was in the movie? Like,
Oh, there was another actor who was in this, and I was thinking about, and I'm like, when did I see this guy?
like a name popped up.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
what the hell?
A lot of that happened. And most of the deleted scenes of the movie are these characters as well. So like there's like a big scene of Wyatt's wife that explains a little bit about her jealousy.
Oh, yeah, it was Billy Bob Thornton. I was like, when did I see him?
Oh, no, he has a big scene.
Chubby Billy Bob.
He's the dickhead
He's
in
the
the-
gambler that he throws out of the Oriental when they first roll into town.
Oh, that was Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's just a little
kind of
chonky.
yeah, he's very chunky, and it does not look like him. I can get why you did,
Oh, okay.
but you can hear it in the voice.
It sounds exactly like him, but it doesn't really look like him.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, it didn't look like him at all.
He's a little chonky
yeah.
boy.
Okay.
yeah.
Christ almighty, it's like I'm sitting here playing cards with my brother's kids or something. You nerve-wracking sons of bitches.
I stand corrected.
So a lot of the actors didn't like these changes, and not only do they have smaller parts, they lost some of their favorite lines because there was just killer lines. I mean, there's killer lines in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is Sam Elliott about the screenplay.
Initially, the screenplay was one of the best I've ever read. If I was given the screenplay as it is now, I'd have to pass on it.
Yeah, kind of sucks, right? So
Yeah.
you're like, shit, oh yeah, look at this good stuff I got, and then gone, right?
Yeah.
Whole reason I'm there.
Well, it's like, didn't that happen to Kathleen Turner with Jewel of the Nile as well?
Yeah,
Like,
kinda, yeah,
she got,
exactly.
yeah.
So the actors start sneaking their dialogue back into their scenes as they film.
Awesome. That's awesome.
They're just like close up on somebody. They're like, okay, so in this close up, you're going to be quiet.
And that's why my wife is dead.
Yeah, they're like, we just need you to like look intensely at him and like threateningly in the eyes, and then they're just throwing a line. Yeah, and that's why my brother, I came here because my dog was murdered. What are you talking
That's
about?
a complete out of context there.
We cut that part.
That's amazing.
That's
So,
so funny.
But those stayed in, right? Like,
Well,
fingers crossed.
as a sign of goodwill, Russell claims he started taking out his own scenes as a way to prove that this movie hasn't turned into a vanity project for him. This is Russell about that.
Okay, guys, I'll cut some of my own good lines. All right. I knew what I needed from the character in terms of the movie, in terms of making the movie work. But it wasn't fun to do that. It wasn't fun to cut out 8 of the reasons you wanted to do the movie.
Well, yes, good point. But is this true? He's literally in every scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
Almost. And I read this going into it going like, oh, that's gonna be kind of interesting because he talked about like, why it's just gonna be like an aura where all the characters are happening kind of around him. But really, like,
No, he's like the main character.
yeah, he's the driving force of literally every scene.
Right. But also the worst character. Like I don't know, I didn't like him as much in this
Yeah,
movie.
I mean,
he was the least interesting character to me.
Not for me, but I can kind of see what you mean. Like, it's
Yeah.
not. I think he is kind of interesting, but we'll go into that when we actually talk about the real Wyatt Earp and whatnot. So I don't know whether or not that's a valid way of saying what he actually sacrificed. So Kevin Jarre's script details all of Earp's vendetta ride. This is a historically accurate thing that happened. He kind of turned into the Punisher and was running around killing people. Now, and the script had each scene explaining all the kills he was making. So in reality, it was only 4 people, but the movie turns it into way more.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Cosmatos turned these into like the violent montages.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then he also added the opening massacre.
It does feel like the last 1/4 of this movie is just like people riding horses and shooting each other, and there's like no story. Like it's just like,
you're like,
you know what?
where is he? What is
it doesn't
happening?
matter. We just
Yeah.
gave up on trying to tell any kind of narrative. Like it's cowboy stuff. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like.
It's cowboy logic.
This is cowboy.
So like
That's how the West was
Was
done.
won. Yeah.
was done.
That's how they did it in the West.
Okay. Cosmatos has to reshoot practically everything. There are only, someone said, about 15 shots that remain from Kevin Jarre, and most of these are the scenes with Charlton Heston because he was busy.
The
And so
wide shots.
Yeah. The white, well, if you think about all the scenes that he's in, it's a locked camera. Like
yeah.
it doesn't move. Like, and of the 3 scenes that he's in,
Yeah.
whatever. Cosmatos' go for broke attitude, it starts clashing with most of the cast and crew. A large chunk of the art department left either in protest or were fired. And he really starts feuding with cinematographer William Fraker. And at one point, the two deliberately crashed their golf carts into each other and proceeded to scream at each other.
Like they're like backstage, back lot, whatever. Or no, they're on location.
They're on set, yeah.
They're on set. They're on location. They're in Tombstone, which is now our actual town, apparently. Still. And they just like see each other.
Probably. And you're just like,
that son of a bitch.
yeah. And then just fucking went for it.
I'm picturing the movie moment of that where it's just like intense close-ups on their face, and then like you see the wide shot and you just the slowest
It's
just
like
two
Austin
golf.
Powers.
Yeah. No. And then it's like going 10 miles an hour and they just like boom, just barely tap into each
It's
other.
like the scene from Arrested Development where they're playing chicken
Yes.
with the bulldozers.
Yeah, exactly.
Dink.
That's exactly what it's like.
Who won?
That's so funny.
No one really wins golf cart chicken.
So Fraker quits 3 times, but kept staying because he felt the footage he was capturing was worth it. And I agree. There are some really cool shots in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the opening sequence on the train station alone, like when he arrives or gets off the train, there's a shot of when he's hugging his brothers and it's framed in a literal door frame, and then like the shot of them looking in the mirror of the glass.
the reflection.
Like there's a lot of really good stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Where like when they're walking to the corral and like there's just fucking a random building on fire.
Yeah, right. And then the kid comes out, bang, bang, bang. That kid would have gotten his bullet to the face.
Oh my God, right? Like
Running out.
That was
Not
such
in
a
the
good
West, you
moment, though.
don't.
That was so good.
I know.
Bill Paxton, goddamn kid.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I love Bill Paxton. I'm sad he's dead.
Yeah.
Right, he died, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
At the same time as Sean Connery?
2017.
They had a pact.
If you go, I go.
Michael Biehn thought Cosmatos was an idiot. He was an ass kisser to those above him, but horrible to those below. Based on how he was treating the crew, Biehn refused to speak with him. Cosmatos came up to him to give him a note or something, and he said, like, go fuck yourself. And then, like, they never talked after that.
Interesting.
According to him, Michael Biehn, there were payouts for Cosmatos' abusive behavior.
What does that mean?
Hey,
What does that mean exactly?
like the studio was just like, look, sorry, this guy's a dick. Here's some money. Don't talk about it.
Don't sue us.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's one of those things where you're just like, fine, I'll take your fucking money, but I'm mad about this.
Yeah.
But like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Filming finished at the end of August. Took 88 days at about $3 million over budget. All that wool.
Not like the giant epic like horse shootouts. It's the wool.
The giant on location set. Yeah.
Wool's expensive.
So the movie was shot in 2 months and had to be edited in 4. So that might explain a lot of the reasons you had felt about the movie.
It explains
because
a lot.
As soon as the movie ended, what did you say?
I said, what a great movie that is a complete hot mess. That is a hot mess of a movie.
Yeah.
There is a lot wrong with that movie, but it's good. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, right? So we were talking about how, like, Planet of the Apes is just coming to mind. That was shot in almost 2 months, a little less than 2 months as well. But they don't really go that far. Like, a lot of it is just conversations in the ape town. Right? Or them just walking places. Think of how many fucking sets and scenes there are in Tombstone.
Yeah.
And they did that in 2 months.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
It's fucking insane.
How many
right?
characters?
Yeah.
So many characters.
Russell says they captured about 90% of the spirit of the original script.
Finding solutions to problems was a constant on Tombstone. The difficulties that we were able to figure out solutions to. All that matters is that it got done and that the impact that the original screenplay promised Yeah, we got about 90% of that.
Yeah, that's we
I've
captured about
been-
90% of the spirit. Like, just like, really?
This is Russell about finishing.
I don't know if Kevin Jarre would have been able to realize the film he had in his mind. We might still be shooting his movie. I helped him by making sure we got the movie made, and I feel good about it. We busted our ass.
Tombstone released on December 24th, 1993. Debuting in third place that weekend behind The Pelican Brief and Mrs. Doubtfire, but the film had legs, making more money on its second weekend than it did on its first weekend, which never happens today. On a budget of $25 million, the film grossed $56 million in the United States and a total of $73 million worldwide. So it was a decent hit. I mean, okay hit for the time.
An okay Corral hit.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, 73% with critics, 94% with audiences. This has like an enormous following. This movie has like such a not an enormous following, but a very hardcore
Like
people
fan
who
base,
like people who saw this movie in theaters fucking love this movie.
Right.
My brother being one of them. Like he was so obsessed with Doc Holliday.
He's great.
I think we all are.
We are all obsessed with Doc Holliday.
You know, it's funny.
We went to his grave in Glenwood Springs.
Oh, there you go.
Because he had to see it. 6 months later, the 3-hour, 10-minute Wyatt Earp, released in June of 1994, cost $63 million and only made $56 million.
Oh, Costner.
Suck it, Costner.
Suck it.
I guess if you build it, they won't come.
Well, and it also had a pretty stacked cast. Dennis Quaid was Doc Holliday, Michael Madsen, Gene Hackman, Tom Sizemore, and the other Bill.
Pullman. That was contractually obligated back then. You had to have a Bill in your movie.
It's either
Yeah,
Bill
if you're
or
having
They're like,
competing
wait, which one?
projects.
Paxton or Pullman? Okay, that's fine. I mean, either is great. Just let us know.
32% with critics, 61% with audiences.
Interesting.
So people didn't like it as much.
No, it's Michael
bad?
Madsen made some joke about it later about how he was like it was just 3 hours of close-ups on Costner. Like he said he hated it.
So he did the opposite of what Kurt Russell was like. I don't want to make a vanity project, and then Kevin Costner was like, "Watch me make."
No,
a vanity
really, like from the
project."
beginning, when he read the script, he was like, "No, it should be at one character, and that character is going to be me."
And it's me,
Right.
and I'm Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
And please, everything
Yes.
is a close up on my face.
Yes, and Costner, I have seen Wyatt Earp years ago. I've never seen Tombstone.
Oh.
So
you're in the same boat as me because I'd never seen Tombstone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I remember parts of it being like kind of decent, but and also extremely long. And I was watching some clips of it and like their OK Corral shootout for Costner's movie, and it is weird how many like very particular details that were clearly like history. Both of them have Doc Holliday handing off his cane to Virgil and Virgil giving him his shotgun. Like that weird detail.
Interesting.
Like and then like how it's next to this building and one of them runs inside.
Right.
Shoots from the window.
Yeah. Completely not as cool. Like you watch that one and it seems kind of lackluster.
You mean the Wyatt
And
Earp one?
The Wyatt
sounds
Earp
cool.
one, the Costner one. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Costner is he's like Wahlberg. He's just middle of the road, everything he fucking does.
Yeah.
And but the scene in Tombstone, that was way more intense. Like they're like, as soon as the guns start coming, they put their hands on the guns.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like they're all like, their posture is so much more like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
it's so much. That's so much better. Than
Well, yeah,
the
because you could
Costner
tell
one.
like you knew it was gonna go off when Kilmer winks.
Yeah.
And
then-
then Wyatt's like,
God. Like
yeah.
he knows it's about to go off. Yeah.
well, I mean, I guess it's hard to have a real, fantastic shootout when you're just focusing on Costner's face, right? Because that's all. I don't know. I never saw Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I didn't know it existed.
Nobody cares for it. Although some people are kind of like Dennis Quaid probably would have given him more props if Val Kilmer didn't already like suck up all the air of that character.
Yeah, you can't beat. Sorry, you can't beat that Doc Holliday. You cannot do it.
We're only halfway through.
What? The movie's out.
Okay, I was shocked when I'm like, whoa, like what? The movie already came out? Like I have like 6 more quotes left to read. Like what's going on?
Troubles with Tombstone became public before the release. And since then, a rumor had brewed for decades. So, Ray, out of context, will you read number 4? This is Kurt Russell.
I said to George, while you're alive, George, I won't say a goddamn thing. Oh my God, what did he do? What did he do?
What's your guess? What do you think the debate is?
While you're alive, I won't say a goddamn thing.
George didn't direct it, did he?
Pretty much. Much like Poltergeist, who actually directed Tombstone?
The producer.
Well,
or was it Kurt Russell?
I'm guessing Kurt Russell's from this quote.
So, George Cosmatos died on April 19th, 2005, and the floodgate began.
Oh, because he was like Kurt Russell's like, why? He's like reading the news, like, is he dead yet? Is he dead yet? Is he dead yet? Okay, great. Now I can open my mouth and like say all the things.
Pretty much.
Wow.
He's got a Google alert for George Cosmatos' death. He's just like every day looking at it.
Kurt Russell's just like, he's just like at home, like reading the newspaper. Goldie Hawn's next to him, and then bling, he gets his phone. Like, guess what, Goldie?
Goes to the funeral. I directed it.
I directed this. Everybody.
Okay.
Because my question is, how does like with the whole cast? Because we know it's a whole veritable cast of everybody. Fucking everybody knows who's in the set.
We'll get into it. Let's get into it right now.
Oh, it's like some secret like Tombstone blood oath or some shit.
Kinda.
Oh.
In 2006, Kurt Russell gave a very infamous interview to True West magazine, a magazine that's like dedicated to the Old West. This is
a very specific magazine.
Right? Well, I was going to laugh at that, but then I was like, but I do kind of sometimes read Fangoria, so
which is all horror.
All horror stuff.
I see.
Jenny Ray, Kurt Russell.
I had gone out and got the money. I backed the director. The director got fired, so we brought in a guy to be a ghost director. They wanted me to take over the movie. I said, I'll do it, but I don't want to put my name on it. I don't want to be the guy.
So,
interesting.
Via multiple sources, Russell was, like almost everybody on that set, Russell was putting in fucking overtime.
Oh my God.
On this movie, where he wasn't outright directing the movie, but he was sort of puppeteering it from all the other departments in a way. So
pops his head into the costume. How's the wool going?
Yeah.
Pops his head into the editor. How's the edit going?
Yeah.
Like George leaves the room and then he comes back and he's like, "Hey, everything that guy just said, don't do it.
Yeah.
Here's the real stuff. Okay, thanks everybody."
No, okay.
Walks away.
So each night, Russell would go over the filming schedule and write out a detailed shot list for Cosmatos to accomplish the following day.
Good Lord.
This is him about that.
I'd go to George's room, give him the shot list for the next day. That was the deal. George, I don't want any arguments. This is what it is. This is what the job is.
Wow.
Jeez. And yet that George guy was so terrible. Like, he wasn't even the director, and he was still such an abusive piece of shit.
Yeah.
Why not just fire him and get someone else if he wasn't actually doing the job?
Because he was. He was just being a dick about it.
He was doing the job.
No, he was getting the shots and he was getting it done.
Sure.
He was just being an asshole to people about it.
Was his ego bruised because Kurt Russell was telling him to do these things?
No, from what Michael Biehn was just talking about, he's just kind of an asshole.
Just
in
general.
Like he would say stuff like, tell the extra with the big tits to move over 3 feet,
Ew.
whatever, that kind of stuff.
Oh, gross.
I was going to say, when we first read that quote where he's like, I'm not going to tell anyone as long as you're alive, my brain immediately went super dark and I was like, oh no, what woman did he harass? Like, I immediately was like,
no.
Because he was like such a piece of shit and people were getting payouts for enduring his abuse.
Yeah.
And so I assumed it was like he did something really bad.
Yeah, you're going to like real dark places.
That's the thing. Yeah, like I went like super dark with that.
No, we're not going that dark at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Asked about if he got along with Cosmatos, Kurt Russell says yes, because they had to. Like, they had to get this done.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get delayed, so they just like, let's fucking do this. Like, move.
Yeah.
This is Kurt Russell about Cosmatos.
He was terrific in selecting locations. He was very good at selecting locations, and he did what he was supposed to do. He was a good little puppet.
Isn't that a whole division though? Like scout
Location
scouts.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, well,
Location
you'd
scouts,
be the
location
director
managers.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have that. That's the one thing you're good
also,
at. You'll
like,
do.
what the fuck? He's just like, how about this, like, cactus-covered hillside? Does that look good?
Sure,
How
sure.
about this cactus-covered hillside? How about this river in the middle of the cactus-covered hillside? There's, like, it's all one location.
Yeah, well, that's a funny thing too. Is that like being shooting in Arizona, like you could like throw a rock and hit one of those locations. Like,
Yeah.
good job, George.
They literally would spin him around and he'd throw a rock and they're like, you did it, buddy.
Guys, he needed something. Okay?
He
He wanted ownership of one thing.
He needs a win. Meanwhile, like, Kurt Russell's like walking around behind him, like giving people money, like, so sorry, really sorry. By the way, don't do that. Also, here's $10. Really sorry, he's a piece of shit. Okay, anyway.
I
I'm sorry he referred to you as big tits. I'm sorry.
Here's some money.
I like
Don't
the
talk about
idea of him actually falling behind him and then going, how about here? And you go, well, good job, George. And then gives him a snack, like puts it in his mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. Of all the things he was doing, Kurt Russell did not assist in the editing room, which he regrets because he felt that they had
it shows.
kinda. Because he felt that they had a great script, a great cast, and ended with a, quote, pretty damned good movie that he is proud of.
Yeah.
But he truly believes it could have been one of the greatest Westerns ever made if they didn't have the time pressure and they nailed the final edit.
I definitely agree with that because, like I said, this movie, like, it's good. Like, there's really good stuff in there, but then you get to the end and you're like, that was a mess. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, it's just messy. Like, it's just
Yeah.
messy
For every like great moment,
there's a
just
really
like
bad moment.
yeah, and it's usually the love story.
1000%. The B story in this is atrocious.
Yeah,
Well, has Russell directed other things?
I don't think so. I actually didn't look that up.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
curious
think
about
so. But I mean, Kurt Russell's been in movies since he was like 7 or something
Yeah.
like that, so he knows how a set works.
One thing that I just didn't really understand was when Virgil leaves and during the lightning storm, and he comes back and he's like all bloody.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah,
Was
right.
he stabbed? Was he shot? Like,
Yeah.
he loses the use of his arm, but like, how? Who did
Like,
it? I
yeah,
know it was the
and had-
Cowboys, right? But like,
There's a lot, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff like that where, like, shit just happens and you're like, what? But what happened? Like, it's
Yeah,
just
and how did he
very-
get away?
Yeah.
And more
it's-
importantly,
Right. It's just kind of like it's showing you like scenes but there's no connective tissue for you to be like, wait, what? Who? What?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's just very.
and then like the last half is all that where you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why are they there?
It's just those like constant horse battles,
yeah.
horse shoot offs that they're just.
Like, who the
they try to stitch it together with like Sam Elliott voiceover to just be like, oh, anyway, so they shot some guys. See you later. Like, it's
Was there?
I think there was at the
Was there?
end.
it was at the end, but it wasn't Sam Elliott. It was another actor.
Oh yeah, there's someone else that does the narration at the beginning of the.
Oh my god! But it sounds just like Sam Elliott.
no, not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, then I was mistaken.
But like, yeah, like why were they there? Like, who the fuck was Charlton Heston? I had no idea.
Nope.
I did not understand that,
Some-
and
yeah,
like
just
why
some-
he was important.
Why he was in the movie, what he was doing, who he was, why
Yeah.
he was protecting them, why he helped them.
Yeah, like, and we'll get into like some of the accuracy stuff, but yeah, there was just like connective tissue across the board because like the first half is really good, other than like,
The B story.
oh my god, we're in a really tense situation. Oh look, there goes Josie across the street.
Yeah, it just grinding halt. Like it was not good.
Okay. Val Kilmer says Kurt Russell is solely responsible for Tombstone's success. Clint, you'll be our Val Kilmer
Okay.
about the sacrifices that Kurt made.
I have such admiration for Kurt as he basically sacrificed lots of energy that would have gone into his role to save the film. Everyone cared, don't get me wrong, but Kurt put his money where his mouth was, and not a lot of stars extend themselves for the cast and crew, not like he did.
Yeah, he talks about how he would be like, they would do a scene and Kilmer would be like, oh yeah, he almost got it. Like one more take and you're gonna get that, you're gonna nail that. And he would go up to me like, you can do it one more time. You would like, you're almost there. And Russell was like, we're busy, we got to move on. Like, it's good, it doesn't need to be perfect. Let's move. Like,
Which makes sense to me because there's a lot of times where I'm watching Kurt Russell, and I love Kurt Russell. Oh my God, he's one of my favorites. Like him and John Carpenter's The Thing, is my favorite role of all time. I love it. But like you see like Kurt Russell's performance in this compared to like other actors in it, like it's like
it's hit and miss.
It's hit and miss, yeah. Like especially when he's yelling no. Like I'm like, oh God.
You were like, oh no.
Yeah, that part's like that's like the deep end of like, ooh.
That's what I meant by like he's okay, he's not the worst character in this movie, but like for the person who is in it the most, like he was not doing as good of a job as the other actors. But now that I understand that it's because he was literally like shadow directing this movie, it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Like he had so much other stuff on. Like
he was busy.
He couldn't be fully in the character because
exactly.
he was just trying to get shit done and keep everybody like under control, get the George snacks, get people their hush money. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
a lot
pretty much.
to worry about.
Passing out the snacks, passing out the cash.
Yeah, I would
directing.
say that like across the board, almost everybody is almost not entirely there, other than Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer is just like, I'm in it and I'm never coming out.
Yeah.
And everybody else just is like, like I'm sorry, Bill Paxton has never been a great actor. Like,
but I love him so much.
He is loved because he's in all kinds of stuff, but he's just like, he's an okay actor, like at best.
I did actually kind of get choked up at his death scene though.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
good.
Very good. Especially like the whole thing was like, you know what I said earlier about the light when you die?
Remember what I said about seeing a light when you're dying? Yeah. It ain't true. I can't see a damn thing.
Oh man, that's really how it's gonna be.
That's what I mean. That's the whole thing of this movie, though. Like we were saying, there are killer lines. I remember at the first part of this movie, there were a couple of lines where I was like, "Hot damn, that is." I don't even remember what they are now, but
one of them was when he smacks the guy with the whip.
Hurts, don't it?
Oh, that was so great.
Or when he's like, "You're sitting in my seat."
Yeah.
Is that a fact? That's a fact. And then are you gonna do something? Or you just stand there and bleed. Yeah.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Yeah.
Fucking love that line.
Yeah, there's some great stuff in there.
Are you gonna do something or are you just gonna stand there and bleed? I was just like standing fucking ovation for that line. There are great lines in this movie, which I think is a testament to that guy's script, but like it's just in the execution and like how it came together, and I think the edit's a huge part of it. It's just like it is messy.
Yeah, if they had the proper time, even if they had the proper time to do like not Kevin Jarre,
right?
Like when they had the switchover, like if Cosmato's version, they were just like, okay, we'll give you another month.
Right.
So you can do the all of this. Like, and so they didn't have to fucking rush it.
Right. They didn't have to rush it. Kurt Russell sat in on the edit.
Yeah. Whatever it was. Yeah. Had time to edit it. Yeah, exactly. Wrapping this up for Kurt Russell, this is him about the making of Tombstone.
It was the hardest work of my life. Tombstone was so painful. Tombstone was so tough. You know what I mean? It was just so painful. It was hard physically to do. I got 4 hours sleep every night, and I'm so happy that we got it made.
Yeah. Michael Biehn has lots to say about the making of this movie.
Let's hear it.
He says he was never personally directed by Russell. He felt it was a collaborative effort on everyone's part to make it work, and he's kind of sick of people saying that Russell ghost directed the movie.
Is Michael Biehn Johnny Ringo?
Johnny Ringo, okay. Yeah. And while he has nothing but wonderful things to say about Russell, he takes issue with Russell's story about cutting down his own role for the sake of other actors, because he and the other cowboys' roles were nearly all cut.
We had 3 months to shoot that movie, and 4 weeks in, they fired Kevin Jarre, and they used none of the footage that he shot. Wow. So there's a lot of Tombstone that got cut out before we even shot it. There was so much with the cowboys, with me and Powers, that got cut out of the movie.
Ooh, okay.
And which is, like I was saying, like Thomas Hayden Church and John Corbett and like most of those, the cowboy stuff, other than Curly Bill and Johnny Ringo, like they have the most.
Yeah.
But Bean says that Powers Booth, who played Curly Bill, was despondent after he saw it for the first time. Like he was just
because he was just deflated because all his stuff was cut out.
Yeah.
That
but
really
what was
sucks.
left in there was great. I loved him as Curly Bill.
Yes, like he was a little over the top, but yeah,
Well, that's what I loved about it.
yeah.
But it makes
I
you.
would argue that most of the movie is kind of over the top. Yeah.
It makes you wonder though how good it could have been, because I'm even thinking of like some of the best scenes are the ones between Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo, like the one where they're in the Oriental and he's like, and he does his like fancy gunslinging, and then Doc Holliday like flips his little cup around, and he's just like, it's so good. It's such a like good fuck you. And then at the very end when he does the duel, when they go and do that's such a good scene.
I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
But then there wasn't a lot of buildup outside of that, really.
Yeah, there could have been more.
Yeah.
And so Michael Biehn is like, a lot of my stuff was cut. He had like a really great scene with Charlton Heston that was cut. Stuff with Michael Roker was cut. Like, so.
I would argue that, I mean, you're probably right that they had the most screen time of all the Cowboys, but Stephen Lang was in it a lot.
We'll get to him actually in a minute. But yeah, like, because he has like that, he actually historically is the most historical figure that had a lot to do with the herbs. So that's kind of why Ike Clayton is kind of like a big part. In 2022, Bean picked up the original script out of curiosity and found that he misremembered lots of the details about how nuanced the Cowboys were. In fact, Jarre's script makes them out to be even more depraved psychopaths. Kurt Russell, without providing details, says that nearly everything written about the film, and he directly says many books, have no idea what actually happened behind the scenes.
Oh, wow. So there's multiple books written about behind the scenes of this movie, and Kurt Russell has come and said none of them are accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So, and he just kind of laughs through that.
But it does.
He doesn't provide any details as to why.
Maybe he should write a book. Kurt, do that. It sounds like, though, that there is, I mean, at least Michael Biehn is like, yeah, Kurt Russell's account of what happened is also not 100% accurate.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like, like,
yeah, Michael Biehn could be just, I mean, he wasn't there all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thing that
we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Someone's got a Google alert for when Kurt Russell dies, and they're gonna be like, "Now here's what really happened on Tombstone."
The original script is online. I've linked it in the description. I was like, I'll read it just for research sake, and the opening narration is 5 pages long.
No,
and I was like, nope, I'll find somebody that'll just tell me the differences.
No one would ever make that movie. No one in Hollywood today would look at that and go, yeah, I'll read 5 pages of back-to-back narration of paragraphs.
Isn't it like about a page of a script equals about
1 minute.
1 minute on
generally.
Film. So a 5-page narration is 5 minutes.
Yeah.
God. You're right. No one's going to want to do that. No one's going to want to see that.
No one wants to. Yeah, no.
I mean, the exception to the rule, maybe Lord of the Rings, but yeah, at least there's other shit going on. But it's like dense. It was just like, this person and this person and this person and this person, and they were involved in this thing, and you're like, are they important? I don't know.
Listen, I think the narration for Theodore Rex is probably better than that, because they just told us what happens in the movie.
Once upon a time in the future.
In the future, Jesus. This one's like, once upon a time in the distant past in the West.
Well, let's talk about the past and the historical accuracy. We'll just hit up a couple of things here about this. Jarre based his script, like I said, on Tombstone and Iliad of the Southwest. Writer Walter Noble Burns' version of events are largely exaggerated. Again, it's from 1927. You know, write whatever the fuck you want. There's no cops.
Check you? Yeah.
It
is called An Iliad of the South, which is an epic poem. It's like, did
Putting
any
it
of
up
that
there.
even really happen? Yeah. Anyway.
It does feature many one-liners that Jarre directly adapted into his script, such as...
Are you just gonna stand there and bleed?
Or hurts, don't it? No.
Hurts, don't it?
This is hurts, doesn't it? Is that what we say?
Most famous line in this movie.
I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yay!
Oh, there you
go. Costner and Kasdan's movie based their story on Stuart Lake's book, Wyatt Earp, Frontier Marshal, from 1931. So also really old. This book kind of popularized Earp into the public, and it includes interviews with Earp, but his stories have since been proven completely exaggerated or completely made up.
Oh no, a cowboy like to tell tall tales? No shit. People were surprised by this.
Because you could get away with it back then.
Who's going to stop you?
No one could read or write. No one was writing shit down.
I don't know. They knew Chopin and Latin. And
they didn't, though.
I always find that fascinating when it's like when, even like Billy Bob Thornton, wait, you're Wyatt Earp? Like, how did you know? I was like, are you reading something?
They had newspapers.
I don't know. It's just how it crossed. How did that particular paper get to that town?
Right.
I don't know. It's just funny. Okay, so both books should not be considered totally factual. That said, let's focus on Tombstone. It is largely accurate across the board, but a vastly truncated series of events. So, for example, Virgil was attacked in December of 81. Morgan was killed in March of 82. But in the movie, it's like
back to back,
almost the same night, right? Yeah. So like it's just condensing it as much as possible to kind of fly through it. Right. Because and almost every fight was followed by a lengthy court case, like when Curly Bill shoots the sheriff,
the marshal.
Yeah. And then like there's a lengthy court case that goes, yeah, he's fine. He can go. There's an enormous court case about the OK Corral.
Again, I just want to point, there's a lot of bureaucracy going on in the West. Like you have this picture of it in your head from watching movies.
You would think it's the Wild West.
It's the Wild West. Like no rules, no one gives a fuck. Like there's no laws. It's lawless. People do whatever the fuck they want. And they're like, every one of these incidents was followed up by a lengthy court case. It's like, they have courts? What? Like, it's just...
They bothered doing this?
Right. Like people had lawyers. Like these cowboys had lawyers.
The one thing that was missing from this film was the Law and Order. Dung dung.
Yeah.
Now I say, Your Honor, I'm just a simple country chicken. Is that the lawyer from Futurama?
Yeah, I mean, no, it is kind of weird how much they kind of followed the rules,
right.
and the reason Earp went on his vendetta ride was because the courts were like, I'll let all these guys off.
Right.
Like they all sided with the cowboys. And so then he was like, fuck it. I'm going to go kill all these people.
Yeah. He's like hell you will.
And
but then there's that scene where Doc shows him the badge that he gave him. He's like, this makes it legal.
Really? Like, and
badges were a fucking dime a dozen.
Yeah, he just put one on apparently. Yeah. Because it never explains how Earp became a marshal again. Did he just put the badge back on, or did he actually do the paperwork?
No,
that was the other thing that was missing from the court cases. Is just like him doing all the paperwork. All right, yes, Wyatt Earp. Yes,
Wyatt E. Earp.
Yeah, it's a lot of red tape and Tombstone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Red sashes.
Inaccurate.
Let's go into that. Oh, we're so good at this podcast.
No, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have worn that. I think that's just like a movie thing.
Yeah, it's so that in those big battles you can tell which ones are the bad guys.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, helpful.
For sure, if you're like, look, we're an organized crime gang. It would be like people in the mafia being like, we wear like these crazy hats, so everyone knows
everybody
we're the
wears
mafia.
a feather.
Yeah, everyone wears like a very long feather in their cap to show that they're part of the crime family. It's like, you don't want people to know you're part of the crime
too.
Oh yeah, so there was like, yes, beyond the county sheriff, he did deputize all of the cowboys on his side, and then like they were chasing Earp. Like all that actually happened.
Right after his like vendetta ride, basically
During it,
right?
Yeah.
So he's going around like killing all these dudes.
Yeah.
And the sheriff's like, I
In
need
real life,
more
only 4
backup.
people, but yes.
Yeah. And he's like, I need more backup. Okay, badges for everybody.
yeah, pretty much, because he was in the pocket of those guys.
It's like when you go on a plane and the pilot gives you the wings to
Yeah.
kids. Like it's just like in a box. I'm sure they just have it here. You want a badge or you got a badge?
Yep.
And the Earps are like in so many movies, like they were like the heroes. They're always the heroes, but like the Earps were like corrupt. They were in this for money.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to Tombstone to make money off silver, and they weren't making money. So he became a lawman to get a cut of stuff. Like so they were not all great people.
Yeah.
They were not in this for some
They weren't
righteous reasons.
pure-
Weren't there more
altruistic.
Earps too? There's like Virgil
Yeah,
Wyatt.
there's 2 other
like,
brothers.
James and something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earps charge into the river to kill Curly Bill. Mm-hmm. Mostly true.
Whoa.
I don't know about him screaming no.
No.
But he did get into a gunfight where he ran up and killed Curly Bill and did not get shot.
He's just like, fuck
And
this.
he had like a bunch of bullet holes in his coat. And like
Jesus.
and never got hit.
Oh.
And so
Crazy.
his team there, like with Doc Holliday, they got pinned down. One guy fell on his horse, and like the horse was on him, and so he couldn't get out, and like they were stuck, and so he just charged. So based off of the accounts, yes, that he actually did get away with not being hit.
That's like that
pretty
scene in
wild.
Pulp Fiction.
So I think that's why that moment in that movie is so like a miracle.
Yeah.
It kind of is deliberate because it
It
kind of
kinda
was.
Yeah. And then you find out that Curly Bill had like the blind boys gang. Of, like they're just like blind gunslingers.
Shoot like stormtroopers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. How have they not hit him? These people are the worst shots in the history of ever.
The Earps charging into the gunfight at the OK Corral was widely considered not at all justified. Like, I mean, it does point this actually happened where they were running up and the county sheriff goes, I already took their guns. Like, you don't have to do this.
You don't need to do
You do this.
anything.
Yet they continue to push forward, right? So, like, that was kind of their out.
Right.
And they still went into it.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're not all in jail is because Wyatt spared his life. Because instead of like just murdering them
everybody
in cold blood,
yeah.
like he didn't do that. So like so it's a very, very fucking gray.
Again, lengthy court case.
Yeah, exactly. Where it was basically Ike Clayton versus the Earps. It wasn't until the many movies that have been made about the OK Corral that have come out where the opinion changed to be like, oh, the Earps were heroes. The gunfight actually happened a half a block away from the OK Corral.
Oh.
But shootout near the OK Corral wasn't as catchy. So.
Newspapers at the time used OK Corral because it's how it sounded.
Yeah.
The title of the 1957 film Gunfight at the OK Corral, with Burt Lancaster as Wyatt Earp and Kirk Douglas as Doc Holliday, was so popular. It is why that historical event is called that now. Gunfight at the OK Corral.
Interesting.
Nearly every character in the movie has real life counterparts, as did Johnny Ringo, but his stuff is a bit confusing because he was very loosely connected to the Cowboys and may have been involved with the attacks on Virgil and Morgan. And he did challenge Holliday to a duel, but Holliday declined. He said no.
He said, I'm not your Huckleberry.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you. And he was found dead years later. And some people think it was a suicide because he was just by a tree with a bullet to his temple. So like he may have killed himself, though Wyatt Earp claims he's the one that did it. But again, Earp cannot be trusted. Wyatt Earp died at the age of 80. Doc Holliday died at the age of 36.
Oh man.
They were not friends when he died. They broke up.
Aw.
They had a falling out, mostly maybe about Josie. I think something like that.
Over a woman.
Over a woman.
It's always about a woman.
Okay, real quick, some random facts about the movie.
I thought it was going to be about the fact that Doc Holliday had tuberculosis and still insisted on being in closed rooms, coughing all over everybody around him. I was like,
Yeah.
Hey, he had his little cup,
his
so he wasn't sharing his cup.
yeah. But I was just like, so the whole time I'm like, everyone in this room has TB now. Every single person. This
Especially
theater,
his girlfriend,
full of-
right?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
How did she not have tuberculosis? That is so contagious. I was just like, it was stressing me out the whole time.
And it's crazy that he got it when he was like a kid.
yeah,
Like,
he lived with it for a long time.
Yeah, most of his life. And it's like, how many people did he give it to?
That's what I'm saying.
He was a dentist, so he's probably like, all right, let me see that. Yeah, open wide.
Open up, let me see those pearly whites there. All right.
No,
That's for good luck.
Yeah, I got some of me in there. Hold on one second.
No.
Gross.
So stressed out the whole time.
I know, right?
Okay, some random facts about the movie. All the mustaches are real.
Ooh.
It's
other than the county sheriff.
this fucking show. Like I'm watching, I'm like, I should grow a mustache.
I know. Kurt Russell's is amazing.
It was Kurt Russell's. It was Kurt Russell's. It was Bill Paxton's. Sam Elliott's has always had a great mustache.
Yeah.
Always.
But I'm just like, I should just do that. not tell Lisa, and then just one day, just like she wakes up, I'm like, I'll be your Huckleberry.
Full mustache.
That was one of the things Kevin Jarre was like a stickler about. He was like, you all have to have like big mustaches and you have to curl them. They have to be curled, or pointy at the end. Billy Bob Thornton improvised all his lines. He was just told to be a bully.
Get that goddamn cigar out of my face.
Robert Mitchum is an old Hollywood actor. He is the narrator at the beginning, but originally was to play Ike Clayton, the super drunk cowboy. On the first day of filming, he was injured falling off his horse and had to leave the movie. He's replaced by Stephen Lang. And I didn't realize that was Stephen Lang until the end of the movie. I was
really?
like, I had no idea. Did not look like him.
God, man, that character is such a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know.
Well, when he's running away at the end and he takes off his sash after everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
I renounce it now. And they're like, okay, we'll
All
let
right.
him go. After he's like instigated
But he didn't,
most
and
of
he
it.
didn't die in real life. He didn't die until years later. And then the narrator says it at the end that he died later.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He
So
died
like
2 years later from like a bank robbery.
and
or
it's
whatever.
like, so why include that scene? Because that scene I would have assumed like Earp would have fucking killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was kind of like this weird thing. It was like, fuck it, Earp went nuts, like, and he killed all these people, but not the most important one. I don't know, whatever. Wyatt Earp's fifth cousin, Wyatt Earp III, plays Billy Claiborne. I have no idea. I know, right? Your fifth cousin, but you're the third. Whatever.
You can really just name anybody anything, right?
Yeah. This is Michael Biehn about working with Val Kilmer.
People ask me what it's like to work with Val Kilmer. I don't know. Never met him. Never shook his hand. I know Doc Holliday, but I don't know Kilmer.
You can tell. You can fucking tell. He's a method actor. He was in it.
Michael Biehn said when he got to set and he was just like Kilmer was just crushing all his lines and he like knew all the Latin and he was like, oh shit, and like everybody else was like, oh, we got to go up to that level. Like they were all he kind of like what do
He
you call
upped everyone's acting game.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're like,
and
fuck, no one told
upstaged
us.
them all, and they were like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting that."
No one told us a method actor was going to be on this movie. Fuck.
Yeah.
He was just like always Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And he was a lot of the time just sleeping at Kurt Russell's place, so and just hanging out with him.
Again, method. He's just like, look, Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp are best friends, so I'm going to be your Huckleberry.
Well, Huckleberry is a fighting term.
No, I know. I just want to keep saying it as much as possible.
I got it. All right. Well, here's one more coming up. In 2012, a movie called Wyatt Earp's Revenge apparently came out, but this is where Val Kilmer plays an older Wyatt Earp, reminiscing about his younger days. I have no idea if anybody's actually seen that movie. Val Kilmer's memoir is titled
I'm Your Huckleberry.
Yep.
I looked this up because I needed to see what the hell that meant. And then the first thing was just like Val Kilmer's autobiography. I was just like, fuck yes. I'm so glad he named it that. But it basically means like, I'm your man, like I'm your guy.
If you're looking for a fight,
you
can fight me, basically. Yeah. His line where he's in the OK Corral and he's like, I got you now. And he's like, you're a daisy if you do.
I got you now, you son of a bitch.
You're a daisy if you do.
Or whatever it was. That actually happened.
You're a daisy if you do. Fucking great lines.
Yeah. I love that there was someone who was like, yeah, there was just this random line during a big gunfight. I heard someone go, you're a daisy if you do. Like,
they're like,
what the hell?
That's gotta be in the movie.
They're like, someone, Doc Holliday's here, I guess.
Kevin Jarre died in 2011 at age 56. Never directed again. He worked as a script doctor for years, but his last official credit was The Mummy from 1999.
Oh, the movie that made an entire generation bisexual.
Yeah, pretty much. So he wrote other great lines like, Benny, you're on the wrong side of the river.
I am a librarian. Wait, so he wrote that. He wasn't like, or was he like?
He did the first script. So I think there was some, like Stephen Sommers did some like touches on it.
Oh, okay. Great movie.
Lastly, Synergy gave Russell all the footage shot, Cosmatos and Jars, giving him the option to construct an extended cut if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. Why hasn't he, Kurt Russell?
Because I got a life. I got a life to live.
That sounds like such a Kurt Russell thing. I can just hear this kid because I got a life. Like I can just hear it right now.
I don't fucking care.
That's a fair reason not to do it.
Worth it.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely, like I said, it's a mess of a movie, but there's good parts in it. I love Val Kilmer. I'll never shut up about how good he is in this. Yeah. I don't know. I like it. That's it.
Yeah, I think it was worth it, especially because it doesn't sound like, other than the one actor who got injured, falling off the horse like the first couple of weeks. Like other than that, it doesn't sound like anybody had real like
that we know about. There was those payouts apparently.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no like life threatening. Like no one's got holding their passports against their will. Yeah. Sort of deal. So I agree. I think it was worth it.
Maybe in like 5 years when someone else dies, we'll hear more and then that'll change our opinion. But as of right now, I'm gonna be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would agree. There are like that first half is really good. Other than the love story, which is it's just like, and it's so underbaked.
Sorry.
But outside of that, like that first half just has such great stuff in it, and that I think they set up the kind of rivalries pretty well, and there's just like killer lines here and there, and it looks really good, but when it starts going on the vendetta, it starts real getting shaky, like and the part when a horse jumps through a window. And the guys can't fire back.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was wild.
It's so like the movie was just like dial it up to like 12 for just a second, and it was just like, okay, you have so much to shoot right now, and you want to put a horse jumping through a window?
Yes.
That seems like so unnecessary. And so there's that moment where there's a guy and he thinks he's about to suck on like the opium pipe,
and he puts
the gun barrel. Like that was great.
Yeah, there are a lot of great moments in that montage, but like there was nothing to connect any of it.
Yeah, it was
like
insane.
Halfway through so like basically you get the idea. It's like, okay, halfway through the movie, his brothers decide they want to be sheriffs again, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll be a sheriff too. God. And then he gets a badge, and then they're like, we're gonna be sheriffs now. And then the cowboys are like, no, we hate rules. And then and then they're just the shootout at the OK Corral happens, and then Morgan dies because the cowboys are. Like, they try to attack Virgil, he lives. They attack Morgan, he dies. And then Wyatt's just like, I'm vendetta ride. But like from basically that point on, it's just like, what even happens?
Yeah, it's really
crazy.
confusing, and like that's where like Charlton Heston is in there, and you're like,
Who God knows why.
and then the movie ends like a romantic comedy.
No, it's so bad. What in God's name?
where he goes to the
play.
to the play. Yeah,
And then they're just like,
it's snowing.
Oh, guess it's like, well, I'm broke. Well, good thing, because I'm rich, or whatever the fuck she
My
says.
family's rich.
My family's got plenty of money. It's like, well, that fucking worked out for you, didn't it,
Yeah.
Wyatt Earp?
And then you just have like this random narration. It's like, they lived together, or they loved each other for the rest of the time. And oh, by the way, Ike Clayton, one of the other characters, yeah, he died.
He died.
So long, everybody.
Yeah. Don't look any of this up.
And it's like a fucking Looney Tunes episode. Like circles coming in.
It kind of was
Yeah,
like the
that's
way they were
insane.
just like dancing in the snow.
Yeah.
That's all, folks.
That was how that end narration felt.
Yeah.
That was some Porky Pig narration.
Some Porky Pig bullshit.
That was some Porky Pig bullshit.
So yeah, it has great highs and some terrible lows.
Yeah.
Like, and then like you said when it was over, it's like, what a beautiful mess.
Yeah.
So
It's
whether or
serious.
not, I don't know, it wasn't worth it. It is a very fun movie. Like, so I guess, but I mean, it could have probably been better if they weren't pressured.
Yeah.
That's
So-
really kind of like the saddest part about it is like this probably would have been a really good movie.
So yeah, let's we gotta start the release the Russell cut.
Oh my God. No, he's got a life.
He's got a life.
Oh, he's got a life.
He's,
He's
not
got-
gonna- he's done.
And
He's not,
keep in mind,
his ego isn't wrapped up in
No.
the movie.
yeah, keep in mind that was back in '93. Is he really gonna get around to it now?
Yeah.
No.
Maybe if he didn't do it while it was during COVID.
Right.
That's true, yeah. Which is COVID project.
He's like, I need a
Tombstone.
COVID project. I guess I'll just go back to Tombstone and do that extended cut they wanted me to do.
I'll just wait for a couple more people to die
Yeah.
so I can control the narrative. Follow-ups.
Follow-ups.
Fuck was that?
That's it. It's my transitionary
I love it.
jingle
I love it.
music.
It's great.
It's supposed to be like, like the Batman where it goes. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
But
All right.
okay, that was better. Do that. There we go.
Beautiful.
Ian would like it to be known to everybody in our audience that the creator of The Simpsons and Futurama's last name is pronounced Groening. It is not Groening.
Oh my God.
And
So sick of this
Ian's going to have an aneurysm.
Oh, I can tell.
If one more person leaves a comment being like, it's pronounced groaning, like he's going to have an aneurysm, you guys.
It's crazy. Like I grew up always thought it was groaning because just based how it looks.
Yeah.
And then but you look it up and he goes, I'm Matt Groening, and you go, oh, so that's how you say his name. Debate settled. Apparently not.
Like, the man says his own name, Groening.
Yeah, and usage is law. And it's just like, it's crazy to me how many people are like, your video's trash because you don't know how to say his name right. And then instead of going, I wonder if that's actually correct, look it up, spend fucking 30 seconds Googling it, and then, I've been wrong this whole time. Nope. Immediately like, you're a piece of shit because you didn't know this. And it's just like, okay, it's already settled. This is how he says it. Imagine being so arrogant to be like, no, you're saying your name wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your name, you're saying it wrong. Fuck you, I'm saying it wrong.
Your name is actually pronounced Clint.
Yeah. And don't ever say it a different way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
So anyway, please don't comment anymore saying that he's pronouncing Matt Groening wrong because he is not. All right. So a couple of Spotify comments on our contractual obligation episode. Mayhew wrote, "Whoa, you can write comments on Spotify? Whoa." Yes, you can. Those are my favorite kind of comments when people discover they can do that. It's the best. And then Kim Franson said, "Does anyone actually read this?" I mean, we do, Kim. So I don't know if other people do.
Yeah.
So now that we know they exist, we read them. And then Jordan Schulte said, "These are my favorite kinds of episodes. Keep them coming, guys." So yeah, we'll have
That
to
was
think
for
of
what episode?
contractually obligated
Yeah.
casting, contractually obligated casting. So Yeah, but like those sorts of like compilation theme episodes, I think people really like.
Yeah, we're trying to mix it up.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know.
Maybe next one will be dueling blockbusters. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be it. That's a good one.
Ding, 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 ding.
And then we got a review on Apple Podcasts. Again, if you listen there and you like us, go leave a review. It helps people find us. So Mick Fuck Me Up said, which is a great name, but they put an X for the U, so they like it didn't get flagged or whatever. But great name.
That's what happens when I go on a bender at
Yeah.
McDonald's.
I got Mick Fucks Me Up, bro.
Mick fucked me up.
They said, this podcast ignited a love for movies that I never had before. Knowing what went on behind the scenes is a really great way to be more engaged in the movie. You guys are always super hilarious with your commentary, and I always get excited seeing a new episode. Hope everyone who likes movies finds this podcast.
Aw.
Us too.
Cute. Thank you.
We just got the papers.
Oh, wait.
We just got the trades.
And it comes whooshing in like...
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the Batman one again.
This just in. We have 4 new meddling executive patrons to tell flattering lies about.
Yeah.
So first up, we have Dylan.
Dylan is the sole provider of wool cowboy clothing.
Oh my God. Dylan's
Yep.
fine wool and Dylan's fine wool cowboy costumes.
Emporium.
Emporium and opium den.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's how he convinces people to buy wool all year round, is also providing them with opium. And,
That's in his only shops are in like Arizona, where it's just
Exactly,
like way too hot to be wearing that
exactly.
Where people are like, a wool shop in this economy and also temperature?
This heat?
In this heat?
But he's making a killing.
Yeah, well, he's the reason why Tombstone is still a town.
Yeah. He just set up.
Tombstone is just all wool all the time.
You can go buy an authentic wool cowboy costume right from Dylan's Emporium in Tombstone.
Yep.
So there you go.
And then that cash comes directly to us. Yeah.
In the form of Quaker hats.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love
I was
those hats.
wondering
bro.
where that hat came from that you're wearing.
Yeah,
Clint.
right? Yeah. I love it.
We're getting those wool.
Couple of woolly Washingtons.
Woolly Washingtons. There you
Thank
go.
God.
There
Okay,
we go.
we got it. We got. Yeah, so
Just Washingtons.
just see. Well, I mean, you know, it's $1 for everything. That's why it's
I
an
guess that's true.
emporium.
Well,
you know?
when when you're wearing wool and you have just a bunch of ones, like
You just line your wool coat with all of your ones.
Yeah.
So there's like,
Sounds
extra.
awful.
those your gross sweaty dollar bills. That's how you pay for stuff. Is you just reach into your like wool vest pocket. It's all soaking wet. Like, here you go. I'd like to pay for this.
Why are they so wet?
It's moist. There's nothing worse than a moist dollar bill.
Well, thanks anyway for all your moist dollar bills, Dylan. We appreciate it. We'll
Appreciate
take them. You know,
it.
we don't care how moist they are. We'll take those wet and woolly Washingtons any day. Oh.
Wet woolly Washingtons. The next one we have is Aryan, and they are an up-and-coming competitor for Stanley Cups.
Oh.
Yeah.
They got into the game because they were like, let's have cups that don't have lead in them.
Yeah, and that aren't overly like comical size.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? People need to be hydrated. They don't need to be drowning themselves.
Reasonably hydrated.
Reasonably hydrated. Yeah.
And hydrated to an amount that fits in a cup holder in a car.
Yes, that you don't have to 3D print. I've had to 3D print adapters because of Stanley Cups, but not because Aryan. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know their cup size.
And they're and you're like, why not make them Batman themed too, just for the hell of it? You know, they're just like, that's what the people want: reasonably sized cups that are Batman themed, that fit in your
Batman
cup
Forever
holder,
themed,
specifically,
Yep.
and also just Val Kilmer. Just like Val Kilmer lips, like on the lid of the cup that you can put your lips on. Sold. I'm sold.
Yeah.
Got those Kilmer cups.
And they actually got into that's actually really big in the same market of people, the same demographic who bought the Dune 2 popcorn buckets.
And what is that? What is that demographic?
Bunch of pervs.
I don't care that those Kilmer cups are coming to us.
Yeah, we got those.
Get that Kilmer cash.
Kilmer cash.
Kilmer cash.
We love it. Thank you, Arian.
That is Kilmer cash. We went so far from the cups.
Yeah.
There's Kilmer cash. Like
Kilmer,
what?
Kilmer cups. Kilmer cups give you Kilmer cash.
That's right.
You know, the economy.
The economy. That's how it works.
All right, and then next up we have that Dan guy.
Oh, that Dan guy?
That one Dan guy. You know the one.
That Dan guy.
Yeah, that Dan guy. That Dan guy knows what they did.
Infamous.
Yes. And we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's not even worth going into.
You know what? Until he dies, and we can't talk about it. We're not going to talk about it.
We're not going to say a goddamn thing, that Dan guy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what you did.
You know what you did. And we're making money off of it, but we're not. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But they know what they did.
I'm putting in the Google
Google's
alert right now.
Google alert for that Dan guy.
For later. For when I can talk about this, when the embargo is lifted.
Yeah, but because of him, we're getting that Dan De Niro.
Dan De Niro. Dan De Niro? Oh my God. Robert's nephew?
Yeah.
But you know what you did.
But we can't tell you why we're getting that De Niro.
Robert De Niro's nephew Dan.
He's embezzling from his brother.
From his uncle Robert, turning it into Dan De Niro. Dan De Niro De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming our way.
Yep.
This has gone off the rails.
This is like a horse jumping through a window to start a shootout.
Yeah, exactly. Our last one we have is Yosef. Yosef, if you didn't know this, is a champion concert pianist who has traveled around the world doing like Chopin better than Doc Holliday ever could.
But only in Wild West saloons.
Only
it's
in
very specific.
So niche.
On one of those like weird old piano fortes where it's like bing, 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 bing,
and he has to get hammered to do it.
And they actually won't allow us to say piano. It's piani. I play the piani.
I play the Chopin on the piano.
Bing, 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 bing. That's Chopin, right?
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Champion concert saloon pianist.
So like
pianist.
Like when like dueling pianis.
Yeah.
Dueling piano like Donald Duck and Daffy Duck.
Yes,
like,
from Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. So he does those.
Yosef Duck? I mean, I guess the name Yosef would imply that he is from somewhere in Europe. That sounds very European. So he would know Chopin. Yeah.
Yeah. But because they're from Europe, we were raking in those Yosef Euros.
Yosef Euros. And then they pass along those Yosef Euros to us. So thank you, Yosef, for being one of our meddling executives.
And please send us any of those competition footage because I would love to watch those.
Yes. They're just going to send us a clip of Roger Rabbit. I'm the one on the left.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's pretty much it. Like, if you want to be a patron, there's information in the description. You can join Patreon. You can buy merch. We just got our T-shirts today.
Yeah, we did. We all got T-shirts.
And we all got one that's
about a
little different. Oh, and Jenny Ray has the mug. Support us any way you want by just leaving a like. That's all we need, guys. That's all we need, right? I mean, Clint needs a little bit more validation, but
yeah, I really do. I never get tired of it.
Oh, that one guy! Oh my God, that was like we were talking about this guy who's like your one man fan club on YouTube.
Yeah,
and we were like, oh, that one like crazy fan you have. And this guy comments and is just like, who's the fan? I need to meet him so we can start a Clint fan club. And it's like, my dude, you are the fan. We were talking about you, my guy.
He's not only the president of the Clint fan club, he's also the only member.
Yeah. He's the president, vice president, treasurer, sole member, the all of it.
Newsletter editor.
Yeah, exactly.
Sending it to himself.
Ooh. Could you believe Clint did this week?